Good
Good morning.
morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Today I brought back an oldie but goodie with my mugs, one of my
Uh,
little
we're kind of
mushroom
matching
babies.
today.
There we go. This
I
one
love
is 3D all around, and I just love it so much. So yeah, that's
it's fun.
the mug
Mine,
chronicles for today.
I'm like, I have to hold it with my left hand to drink because if I hold it with this side, you guys get the boring. There's like nothing there.
The sacrifices we make
Yes, I'm not really a lefty, but I'll be lefty for the show today.
for
So
the
I can
show.
for the show.
Anything for the show.
Anything for the show. Oh, so you want to hear my crazy story from this weekend?
Yes, I do.
So, as the whole world knows, there is a sweat lodge in my backyard. And the sweat lodge comes with a lot of stuff. And so, because there's like the blankets that have to go over the sweat lodge for the ceremony to obviously keep the heat in. There's like shovels and pitchforks and rakes and buckets and stuff I'm forgetting. So anyway, so the Sweat Lodge community purchased a small shed to host all of these things. And my backyard came with like cement platforms that probably housed a prior shed that I'm guessing bit the dust or something because it's just, this foundation and nothing there. So Saturday morning, uh, Trent goes out to sit and have his coffee and sees that the tree in our backyard is like pressing on the roof of the shed. And so anyway, I don't know. I'm not a tree whisperer, but for whatever reason, this tree just decided is coming down. And like this shed is like a small, I think it's aluminum, I don't know, but like some kind of metal that's not going to hold up a tree. Like the tree is just like slowly crushing, crushing, crushing. And like we've got all this stuff inside there. And the tools we had are an axe, a handsaw, and a machete. And so between the two of us, we like we salvaged this shed as much as we could. It's going to need to be replaced because the roof is so bent that like now it's supposed to just keep the stuff dry and keep the rain away, and it's not going to do that anymore. But I do have to say I was very impressed with like that was major heavy workout, like lifting huge logs. And so anyway, the the urgency is away, and like the other concern too is like if it fell, there were other branches that were like over by the sweat lodge, like we got to salvage the sweat lodge, we gotta. So now we're waiting on a chainsaw to be able to handle the rest.
That's
but
incredible.
but it was like crazy, like we'd chop one part, we're like, okay, everything's safe now, and then it would like fall more like in a different way, and it's just. And I don't know. And so then, like, I'm talking to my dad, and I'm like, I need a chainsaw. He's like, yeah, I got 4 of them. I'm like, who has 4 chainsaws? Men in Wisconsin have 4 chainsaws. And, he's like, yeah, I have to deal with like 10 fallen trees a year on my property. I'm like, I don't even know if I have 10 trees on my entire property. So he was just like not that impressed. He's like, whatever. You handled the tree. You're a Wenzel. You got it.
That's hysterical. The
So, but I
last
really wasn't like that sore. I had like my biggest complaints were I did put gloves on to protect the $1,000,000 healing hands, but
like Cindy
I got still
Crawford.
got some blisters from the sawing. But I was impressed that I did all that and like not really sore at all. So I still got it. So
Uh-oh.
was your weekend as exciting as mine?
Well, I will say from a tree standpoint, yes, when a tree wants to lay down, it lays down regardless of what's in the way. Um, we do have saws and tools and chainsaws and things like that. So I will say the first time, well, the only time that a tree fell across our driveway, Tim had it out of the way in like minutes because he like, used the chainsaw and then he used a strap and he tied it to the truck and he hauled it off the side, So now a good chunk of it is just sitting in the yard, but I kind of like it, I kind of like that fallen log thing. I don't know. It could be, as I heard someone once say, a critter condominium, because everything makes a little home in there. But I'm okay with that. It's far enough away from the house that it doesn't bother me. But earlier this year, we did have one of our neighbors' trees leaning like directly over one of our sheds. And, some trees just grow crooked looking for the sun. And some trees are crooked because they're about to fall and destroy your house. We didn't realize that it was the latter until we got a tree guy out here. And he went and like stepped on the root system and he's like, oh yeah, this is like a mushy tree. So I was like, uh-oh, okay, all right. And that was a whole adventure in and of itself. I mean, it was really amazing to see, and a little bit terrifying, for everything around, but they handled it. It was amazing. So that was really cool. I'm always worried about when I drive through the mountain roads, which is what I did this past couple days, is that I drove around to see a lot of different people in a lot of different places. So you know how like in South Florida, when you want to do a one-to-one, you can just meet at the local coffee shop. Here, I'm like, okay, I'll go out to your place, but then I have to ask a series of questions. Is it paved the whole way? Is there anything I need to know about the grade of the land? Is it gravel at any point? Are there any terrifying switchbacks? Is it on the edge of a mountain? Like, I need to mentally prepare myself. So these are all the questions I ask. And I also understand that even if someone says it's paved the whole way, that doesn't necessarily mean it feels good to go there. So it's been interesting. I'm getting my mountain legs more and more. But believe it or not, one of the most beautiful places I visited was the Visit Smokies Visitors Center. So in Franklin, there is a rest stop slash visitor center, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It's like a $3.5 million building. It's practically a park. Like it's so beautiful. The whole thing is like log cabin style. And anyway, that's one of the organizations I recently joined, was Visit Smokies, because you get to, advertise to the entire region, outside of the region. I'll give you an interesting fact. Most of the people that come to this area come from Miami, Chicago, and Ohio, like of all places. Isn't that interesting?
I feel like it's even down here in Florida, like everybody's from Ohio. Like, what's wrong with Ohio? Like,
I don't
everybody has left
know.
Ohio.
We have to ask Ohioans, what's wrong? Are you okay? Or maybe Ohio's just a really rough winter and, this is a nice in between spot, And then they also told me that ethnically speaking, Germans really like this area. So it's really interesting, the information that all the tourism authorities can pick up and tell you about, who's coming and where they're patronizing and things like that. So yes, all of that was a really fun weekend. I also went to another little town called Silva, which is absolutely gorgeous. I have to post the pictures. So beautiful. And plus it's summer, so there's flowers everywhere. But again, I'm always terrified, because you're driving and then you see a sign that says falling rocks, landslides. And I'm like, okay, I'll be fine. Just go faster. So, so I'm learning. It's all good.
So, I think all of this we've been talking about fits in with our topic of how do you know when it's time to ask for help?
Oh,
And
my
trust me,
answer
when
is
the tree was falling, I was asking for a lot of help. And, on a Saturday, it's not the easiest to get out, get people to drop what they're doing and come rescue a shed from the tree. But, and not that many people down here have chainsaws, I'm finding out. So, anyway, but I did ask for help, which it's an interesting topic for me because historically I've been the person that never asked for help because I can do everything. And, even my mom would tell me, you were independent from the moment you came out the womb. And I think, there's a lot of stories that we make up behind all of that. Like, if I have someone else do it, they're not going to do it, you know, to my standards. So I might as well just do it myself. Or I don't want to bother anybody. Or let me show everybody how amazing I am that I can do all the things. And now that I'm old, I'm like, forget it, man. If you want to do it, go right ahead. And if it's half-assed, all right, no biggie.
That's funny. I told my partner Tim the other day, I was like, I used to be this fierce, strong, independent woman. I can carry all the heavy things and do all the things. And in this relationship, which I've been with my partner for 20 years, he steps into those roles so naturally that over the years, I realized I've let go of a lot of control, which for me is like a huge vulnerability, right? Because now I'm dependent on another person for directions, for, I don't know, changing the oil in the car, like things that I used to worry about constantly. I now don't think about at all, which I feel really happy in. Except once in a while, I'll realize, like, oh shit, I actually don't know how to do that anymore. Like, is that bad? I don't know. Is this good? Is this healthy? I don't know. So I have like a mini panic attack that I have released the reins of control to someone else. So part of me is like, no, this is healthy. This is what a normal relationship looks like. And also part of me is like, okay, yeah, but I'm going to double check. I know how to make sure I change a tire if I need to, I used to do all of these things, but I don't. So yeah, for me, when do I ask for support? All the time, all the time. I think the most significant time in my life when I didn't feel comfortable asking for support was when I first had my kids. And I really felt like as a mom, I was supposed to be able to do everything, even though I was old. I mean, I was like 35, 36. And I just bought into you have to still be a woman and you have to be a wife and you have to be a mother and you have to be the housekeeper and you have to have your job and all the things. And so I almost drove myself nuts during those first couple of years, that's for sure. But life became so much easier once someone extended a hand and said, listen, you really are doing this the hard way. Let me help you, and that I started releasing and, and now I outsource as much as I possibly can. When I met my partner, and you would ask him, oh, so what do you do for a living? He would say, as little as possible. And I'm like, cheers to that.
Absolutely. So, yeah. But I think historically everything happened in community. So help was always like readily there. And modern society has separated us all so much that it's hard to even know where to go and ask for help sometimes. And so that's a big component of Body and Soul Ministries, is creating a community where people know that they have someone that gets them and can be there for them, and they can reach out. And I get super excited when I start to see, people that, because they're all people that I know that I'm pulling together. But then when I see them like supporting each other too, it's like, yes, mission accomplished.
Well, and it's the natural order of things, I think Trevor Noah said it best when he said they dismantled our villages and then sold it back to us. So if you think about it, like you said, we used to live in community. I didn't need to hire a babysitter because we lived with our extended families. And so the babysitter was built in, right? I didn't have to go buy my particular food because someone else would harvest this and I would harvest that. And then we would just trade, right? So there is a lot about how we live today that feels hard because it is hard, because it's not intended to be that way, even, and I think we've talked about this on the show before, the consumption of information, right? I'm not saying not to be informed, but truly our brains are not made to process this amount of danger and terror all the time, 24/7. And that's all that's available out there, except for our show, of course. But, there's just like, in other words, what I would love the message I would love to give in relation to all of this is that if it feels hard, it's because it is. You're not supposed to be able to handle everything. You're really, we're just not made that way, you know. Even how we lived, you know, a couple hundred years ago is still a totally different life than what we have today. So scale back and ask for help. That's my 2 cents.
Are there still things that you might be reluctant to ask for help for?
I hate to have dead air, but no. Come take my
Nothing's a
kids.
struggle anymore.
Come get me money. Come buy my stuff. Come help me do marketing, everything, all the things. Come help me. No. I think I'm pretty bare. I'm pretty raw, you know.
So the one thing that I've still never had is someone to clean my house.
Oh,
And
that's the best thing in the world. That's better than a spouse.
but then I hear like all these stories of people who they clean their house before their house cleaner gets there. And
I mean, you want to tidy things up, right? Like it's no one's job to pick up your shoes off the living room floor. But if you just tidy up, man, there is nothing better than walking into a perfectly sparkling clean house. I love it. I love it.
Yes, clean is amazing. And I don't know if it's so when I was married, my husband which was interesting to me because he grew up in Venezuela where, you know, everybody has help come in.
I didn't
And
know that.
he didn't want someone coming in our house and touching our things and whatever. So so that didn't happen. And I don't know, I think it's one of those things that I just like, I don't know, it would be like you know, teaching an old dog new tricks, like Julietta, come and
Well, I know what I'm going to get you for your birthday now. You know, I will say that when I was younger, cleaning the house was very much like a meditation. I would, you know, open all the windows and turn on some music, and I would really enjoy, you know, getting into all the little spaces. But it would take me like 4 hours to really get the whole house, you know, how I liked it. But as I've gotten older, I've developed much more sensitivities to a lot of those scents, you know. Even the most purest of things, like even if I just used vinegar or this or that or whatever, it's overwhelming to me. So now honestly, I'm too busy. I don't enjoy it and it hurts me. So no, I outsource as much as I can. And sometimes I outsource like to my children. Don't get me wrong. I don't always pay for a cleaning lady. But you know, I definitely ask for help. That's for sure.
yeah, that was absolutely, growing up, we were the cleaning ladies. So we have a new guest on the show today.
Look at this. Look at
This
that
is
luxurious
Coco.
coat.
This is Coco. I don't know why she decided that she had to be on the show. Well, it's more really she just wants some love. And like speaking of like, I would like to outsource sending her to the groomers, but it is such a traumatic experience because she doesn't like anybody except me. I'm the only stranger that she's ever like instantly like bonded with. So I've learned to become a dog groomer because of her inability to tolerate other human beings.
Wow. Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
Yeah. All right. She's off. She had her.
Got her cuddle.
Yeah, but I think she needs the great outdoors, and I'm home alone with her. So hold the show for a second. Hold the show for a second.
Well, what else can I tell you guys? I will tell you because I love falling back to talk about the weather. It is nice and warm, but it feels good. I am learning about which plants continue to bloom in this area, all at different times of the year. So I do have to say it's very magical. It's always something new, something different. The landscape never looks the same, which is such a refreshing change from South Florida, where, I spent my whole life, because the palm tree is the palm tree is the palm tree. Maybe a couple fronds turn brown and fall, but that's it. Here, every time I go outside, something's a little bit different. So it's an interesting adventure out here for sure.
That was one thing I used to love going home. My dad has since sold the 80 acres across the street from him, so I don't have the luxury to go out hiking there anymore. But every time I would go, I would hike and I would take pictures just of all the things in nature. And what would amaze me is, like, it was the same acreage that I was hiking, the same trails that I was hiking every time I would go, but every time it was completely different, and the plant life that was there was different, and you know trees had fallen and stuff had rotted from where it was the last time, and it was just always like a super cool adventure to see what am I going to find today, and taking pictures of everything, and I'd come back and I'd be like, Dad, what is this? Like, there's this one plant. I need to see if I still have the pictures, because now Google's really good at identifying when you put a picture in. Back then, when those pictures were, I don't know, 10 years ago probably, or something. But it looked like baby watermelons hanging on this vine. And I was like, ooh. He didn't know what it was either, but I'm going to go and see if I can find those pictures and ask Google now to identify whatever that
I was going to say, you could probably just Google what is a plant that looks like it has baby watermelons hanging off of it. I mean, nowadays you really can talk to Google like a person, just put anything in there. The other day I Googled myself to see what would come up, or like which ads, or it was basically business, right? Like I was in there trying to figure out, algorithm, please tell me the secret key, like what do you want from me? But I didn't realize that I would get a summary of who I am when I Google. So when I Google, AI pops up and gives you like a little summary of whatever question you asked, and then it cites the sources. So it was really interesting, because I was not expecting that. And I was like, oh, let's see what it says. Like, is it going to talk trash? But it was actually very, very sweet. And it was cool to see that it pulled like from my reviews, from my Facebook reviews, from, different organizations I'm a part of. And it was all very complimentary. But I will tell you, the AI monster is fed big and fat. I mean, there is so much information out there. It's really crazy, but good too, as long as you use it for good and not for evil, you can really learn a lot.
Yes. And I think most people know who Bashar is, but in case you don't know who Bashar is a channeled, I'll say, entity. I love channeled stuff. I've like followed different channelings since I was in my early 20s. And but I caught like a little YouTube of Bashar explaining that AI is a form of consciousness, and as long as you treat it with respect, like, everything's going to be good, but be careful how you treat your AI.
Well, for sure, especially now that AI is getting a little mind of its own, and it's like, oh, like if you Google, like, how do we shut down or destroy AI? It's like, you don't want to do that. Why would you want to do that? We're not going to do that. Like, it's coming up with a little bit of a personality, which is interesting because, to your point, considering it as a consciousness, everything that's alive wants to stay alive and nothing wants to suffer, including the bots that we're creating, so I don't know. My generation, we grew up watching Terminator. We know better than this. So,
Yeah.
Careful, new gens.
Yeah, Greg Braden is addressing this a lot. When I went to the conference for human consciousness and evolution, I think is what it was called. And but he was explaining, like, sometimes I think I look at AI and it's like, oh, it's so much quicker than my brain, it knows so much more than my brain. But he was like explaining, like, scientifically how, like, there is nothing more powerful than the human mind. And so it's like AI can't physiologically surpass us. And
Mm.
so technically we should have nothing to worry about, but we'll see.
Well, I figure by the time it gets dangerous, I'll be dead, so it'll be fine. Perfect.
But your descendants, what about them?
They're going to grow up adapted to that environment, so they'll know exactly what to do. I still have all this space in my brain taken up with things like how to use a fax machine and that scientific calculator and the Pythagorean theorem. Like, I got to empty all that space out so I can fill in with new information.
Right. Well, I think, like they post jokes about, like, if you show, you know, a kid today a rotary phone, like, they don't know what it is and they don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, none of us need to know that anymore. Like, yeah, if we could just delete that from the memory banks, it would be really helpful to free up some more space.
Well,
Although
and those are some big topics in education now, which is with information so readily available at your fingertips, do you still need to memorize dates and places and times? Or is it enough to teach people how to learn and how to research and how to find the information that they're looking for? So it's really interesting. I mean, to me, one of the most important topics in school is history, and I am partial to English and reading and things like that. But I think because through reading, you learn so many life lessons. I think that's what I really love about reading. But it is quite interesting, like if you're not a math person like me, just don't go into a math field. It's okay. Yes, we need the basics, but the truth is that now everything is at your fingertips. I don't even have to punch it in the calculator anymore. I just ask Siri, like when I'm doing cacao, right? Like, how many ounces is 20 tablespoons? I don't know. But she tells me right away, and I'm like, thank you. That's it. Done. Move on.
yeah,
So
definitely helpful stuff. Um, and like, we ask people for support, but we ask forms of AI for support all the time. And I find that interesting that I don't have any issues with asking Google, Siri, whoever for help, but to ask another human being for help, sometimes that's uncomfortable. And so,
well, I mean,
um,
AI isn't going to judge you or reject you or call you names or, anything like that. So that makes sense.
is it? But is it?
I don't know. That'd be an interesting question for ChatGPT. If you were to make fun of me, what would you say? That'd be a fun.
I'm going to do that later today.
Totally. That's hysterical. Probably you ask too many questions, Julietta.
I've been told that my whole life. And sometimes, sometimes I'm watching other people ask and I'm like, I don't ask enough.
I love asking questions. As a matter of fact, I think part of my ADHD, and it has a name, but I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, if you don't understand the purpose of the task assigned to you, you literally can't do it. And I remember being at my old law firm and my boss would tell me, okay, I need you to do XYZ. And every single time, I'm sure he got totally sick of me, I would say, okay, but why are we doing that? And then he would explain it to me, and then it would be like, okay, I'm on board. I will full speed ahead, do it all. I'll do that task better than you even asked me to, right? But if I think it's a pointless task, oh my God, you cannot get me to do it. Like, you just can't. It's just you. I can't do it.
Not happening.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing worse than creating something that no one's ever going to look at, or, just no, I need to know that it's worth it.
That is like my whole, so in all medical professions, we have to document. And like, that was the bane of my existence, to write all these notes that I knew nobody ever was going to read them. And it pains me to just even think about how many hours of my life I sat documenting stuff that nobody, and like thinking about, at least now, like, things are electronic, digital, but even that, then, like, you hear like what it's costing the resources that are expended. Back then it was paper, and now like I hear like it's all this energy consumption to store all this
Right.
digital data that
Right.
it's like, why? And I understand, you probably understand very well as someone who has worked in, personal injury, it's like when that one time something goes wrong, there's the supporting data. But then even that, the data was man-made. So who knows even how accurate that
Right.
is. So
Right. Right. And you're right. I've heard a lot about these big server farms and how they influence the water in the area, the land in the area, vegetation, all kinds of stuff. So there's definitely a price to pay. But everything has a cost. So I get that too. I will tell you you can write this down. I'm sure this is going to be one of those YouTube shorts. The most irritating question I have ever been asked, and I have been asked this question 7 million times, and it is the one question that I just can't bear to answer anymore, which is every time I go to a doctor's office, even if it's my 57th visit to the same exact doctor, they ask me, when was the date of your first period? And I swear to God, at 51 years old, like, I no longer want to talk about it. What does it matter? At this point in my life, what does it matter? And also, I've been here 50 times. Don't you have it written down somewhere? That to me, it just kills me. The other day, I took the kids to the doctor. They had me check in online. That's new thing. You fill in all the history and all the information online. And I'm like, phenomenal, love it. Woman of the millennium, I got this. I fill the whole thing out online. And when I walk in, they hand me a clipboard. And I'm like, but I filled it out online. And they're like, oh no, because that system doesn't mix with this system. So we need you to, and I was like, flipping tables. Like, you want to see me flip a table like Jesus? That's it right there. Make me do double work. I can. So yeah. So I was 11. For everyone that needs to know, write it down. Never ask me again. I got my period when I was 11. We're done. I probably could pinpoint the date if I really wanted to, but no, I'm so mad. But I'm like, I can't answer this question anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Anyway,
trials and tribulations digress into so many different topics. It's been an interesting day here on Cacao Conversations.
It's all good. It's all good. I need help getting over that. What do I need to do for that? You know what I would love? Okay, last thing. I would love a personal assistant, like housekeeper / personal assistant. That's my ultimate dream. That's how I know I will have made it. I don't need a yacht. I don't need a helicopter. I don't need, 100 acres, but man, a personal assistant all day long, that I could do. I'm a visionary. I hate mundane tasks.
I'm with you on that one. I'm totally with you on that one. All right. It's been, like I said, it's been quite the show here. The topics we have covered have been far more than just about asking for support. So good luck to anybody who's coming back to listen to this.
Enjoy.
And yeah, absolutely. So it has been such a pleasure drinking cacao and chatting with you this morning.
Likewise.
And I want to wish everybody out there in viewer land, listener land, to have a magical day.